All right, welcome back to Pastor Plek's podcast. I'm your host, Pastor Plek, and joining me in studio is none other than Mrs. Leah Brown. Very exciting day for us.
Happy to be here.
And then none other than Senor Corey Tabor. I'm so excited about having you on. I can't wait for everyone to find out all about your life and what you do.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, let's just jump right in that. A couple weeks ago, a month ago?
About a month ago.
In the recent past, I had lunch with Corey, and he is now with a ministry called CareNet. Is that right?
Yes.
And was sort of like talking to me all about like the pro-life advocacy that you're doing, and then really trying to get churches involved. And I was, as you told your story and kind of revealed all the things, I was like, man, this is something we need to talk about because I don't think it ever gets talked about. And so I wanted to do a kind of overview of just the whole Corey Tabor, who you are, because you're kind of an amazing person. I first met you back in the day when you were a church planner.
Yes.
Here in Wells Branch.
Yes.
At the library.
Yes. Up the street.
Off
of Surrender.
Yeah, it was.
Yes.
That was so great.
Perfect.
So talk to me. Let's just go real quick into like your church planning days, your ministry days, and kind of where you're at now, and then of course like the broader picture. We'll get to that.
Yeah, well, I grew up in Abilene,
Yep.
very Christian town, and God called me to Austin to go to the University of Texas.
Oh wow.
And I was told by my counselor that I would probably fall away from Jesus. And I met guys in a Christian fraternity that I joined. I joined the gospel choir, met my wife, and fell in love with Jesus even more.
Amen.
And
Wow.
so,
that is sort of a shocking thing. There have been times where we, with our children, we're like, maybe they go to UT, and then all the time you're just like, but they won't be Christian if that happens.
And it's so crazy. There's so many Christian organizations there, so many people walking with Jesus.
Positive that that's wrong.
I'm also proof positive.
Yes.
They told me the same thing about not UT,
Right.
but a state school.
Right.
And gosh, I'm all the better for
Well,
it.
usually the Christian school is Texas A&M, although it's not. It's still a state school. All right. Anyway, all right. So there you were at UT.
Yes.
You graduate. You made it Christian. Way to go.
Yeah, get out of there. And I started doing college ministry within a varsity Christian fellowship.
yeah.
So we planted a ministry to African-American students at UT, and it grew to like 130 students in 4
that's so
years, which was 10% of the black student population.
Wow.
And then I left there, went on staff at Greater Mount Zion.
Hold on. There's only 1,300 black students.
Yeah, about 1,500 black students at the time.
Out of how many students total?
50,000 undergrad, about 67,000 total. Yeah,
So
it's only
including
less than
undergrad
5%. Yeah,
Wow.
less
Okay.
than 5%. Yeah.
Man, that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, which is not okay.
Yeah. Oh,
Not okay.
Wow.
So I went on staff at Greater Mount Zion as a maturity and ministry pastor, and my job was discipleship, adult ministries, membership, missions, all the 4 bases of the purpose-driven model.
Yeah.
Did that for 5 years, and then we left and we planted Full Life Community Church. Met in a home for a year, and then we started meeting in the library here in Wells Branch. So we did that for 9 years.
9 years.
And while I was pastoring, I was bivocationally working at Austin Life Care with the Pregnancy Resource Center here, directing their sex and character education program. Mm-hmm. So we were seeing 20,000 students a year in primarily public schools, teaching how to delay sexual activity until marriage. And I learned how much students wanted to wait. I learned how much the pregnancy center.
Wait. So say that again, because I think that just how much they wanted to wait.
Yeah.
Explain that.
You would be surprised how many students would come up to us after the presentation and say, "You're the first person that told me that I could wait until I got married to have sex."
That's bonkers.
Yeah.
Like, so no one had ever told them that. And I guess it's not shocking, right? I mean, it's like you for all your Instagram and for everything that just everyone needs to have sex faster, sooner.
Hollywood's telling you that everybody is going to do it no matter what.
Right.
So there's no point in trying to wait.
Yeah, okay.
And they're getting married. You have to have sex before you get married.
Right. Test drive out the car.
all of that.
Because
But students were
or men are property.
They were so enamored with the sociological benefits of waiting, the psychological benefits of waiting, obviously the financial benefits of waiting. There's just so many.
Throw a couple of those stats out if you can remember.
Well, I mean, the research shows that people who cohabitate prior to marriage, their divorce rates are almost double.
Wow.
So that's one part.
Did they ever say why, or that's just the facts? Nobody knows.
Well,
why.
I think a lot of it is the relationship is built on a lack of commitment.
Right.
I mean, you're basically saying, I won't commit to you. I create a false commitment with you, and then if things aren't the way I want it to be, I can leave.
Yeah.
Whenever I want to.
Yeah. I always call that contractual relationship.
Yeah.
Like, I'll sign the contract, meaning the lease, and my relationship is as good as you keep providing my joy and happiness. And when that runs out, we're done.
Right.
And so you move from a contractual relationship to a covenantal relationship where there is no out, and people feel stuck.
Right.
And then because the other person's not performing like they used to.
Exactly. And the reality is people change. Life happens.
Yeah.
And that's why the commitment of covenant is so significant, because it gives you the creativity to find out how to work around all of the challenges that come with being committed to somebody for life.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah, but over 50%, like 56% of students are choosing to delay sexual activity in high school. So obviously earlier on in high school, they're delayed more than they are maybe later in high school, but the research still shows, and that's from the CDC.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, the CDC can at least get one thing right. All right, go ahead. All right,
So while doing that, I got connected to the pregnancy center, and then we closed our church in 2019.
Yeah.
And we started attending Celebration Central here in Austin. And I've been working with a number of ministries, including Apartment Life, and was doing my own life coaching, speaking, consulting, and heard that CareNet was looking for a regional director of church engagement in Texas, which would bring together my passion for the church, my passion for the life issue, and I started doing that a couple of years ago, and that's what I do now.
So tell us about CareNet. Who are they? What do they do?
So CareNet, we're a national faith-based nonprofit. We have over 1,200 and almost 1,250 affiliates that are connected to us, pregnancy centers that provide compassion, hope, and help to clients who are experiencing pregnancies. And I tell people all the time, our goal is not only for them to choose life for their unborn child, but for them to choose abundant life for their family. And so it's more than just have a baby. We want them to grow into being disciples of Christ. And so since 2008, we've seen over 1 million babies saved in pregnancy centers connected to CareNet, and over 2 million people have heard the gospel.
Wow, that's incredible.
And responded. So, I mean, I'm getting reports now from pregnancy centers. I got one yesterday from Agape here in Round Rock, and they saw over 200 people come to Christ this year.
Wow.
Like literally people sharing the gospel, people responding to the gospel, over 40% increase in number of clients, pregnancy tests offered. And so from a free pregnancy test to a free sonogram to maternity clothes, baby clothes, diapers, wipes, formula, birthing classes, parenting classes, all of that is offered for free at pregnancy centers all over our state and all over our nation.
All right, so I know that you and Leah know each other from pro-life things.
Yes.
Because you're a board member of the, am I right?
I am a board member, of the Texas Alliance for Life, which is a pro-life advocacy
Right, not the same thing as CareNet, but
and I know Corey because he used to be a board member.
Got it. Okay,
Yes.
And I saw.
And when I was a board member, she was on staff.
I was on staff.
That's right.
So
And you were
I
her
was
boss.
her boss. Yeah, I paid her salary.
Kind of like making
Kind
it.
of.
Which I didn't know when we actually met. So we met at the Republican State Convention.
Oh,
I
wow.
think this was in 2013, right before the 2014 cycle. And I'm with my group. We have this table. We're doing legislative advocacy. We're doing all this stuff. And there's this guy who's just kind of hanging around. And I'm wondering, is this some kind of spy? Literally, that's what's in my mind. We have a spy. He's following us. Nobody had given us the memo that you were like a brand new board member certified yesterday, and that you were at the convention, and that you were getting like your feet wet. And it was funny. And finally, somebody told me that. I think we were at a Mexican Casa Garcia or something in
like that.
Fort Worth.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh, he's with us.
Yes, I was with
And then
you.
I got to know you, and wow, great guy to have with us.
Yeah, and she even named her kid after me. No, she didn't. She didn't really, but we share the same name. I think that's pretty
Didn't you
cool.
name yours after me? Is it like Aaliyah or something?
No, I have a Anaya and a
Anaya.
Karis. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Close enough.
yeah, close.
Close enough.
You were option 2, but you went straight for Corey for your firstborn, so that's a big deal.
Yeah, well, I thought I would have a boy and he would be a Calvin, but when I was disappointed and God gave me a female.
You can't say that. All
Well,
right.
that's true. But
Okay. Good grief, Leah. All right. So the one thing I remember, because this is like pro-life month, January.
yes, this past Sunday was Sanctity of Human Life Sunday. The March for Life was in D.C. over the weekend.
Okay. And the thing that I remember is, was it 10 years ago when you made that video? Do you know what video I'm talking about?
Of course.
And
yes.
it was like, we're going to end Roe v. Wade or something in our generation. And I remember because Adrian was a part of it, and I remember going, oh, that's such a pipe dream. I was just like, it reminded me, the exact feeling I had was before I went to war, we went to this we were gonna all jump out of an airplane. The colonel goes, "We are the first round of the president's gun," and I was like, "We're never going to war." And when that video came, I was like, "We're never gonna see the end of Roe v. Wade in our generation. What a hopeless cause." And then, boom, it happened. I can't believe. I mean, that's wild to me. Like
right. I don't think anyone believed it would happen. That's why that video was so viral. I mean, it went everywhere.
It did. It's
really successful.
Wild.
I am here to tell you that I believed it. I 100% believed it.
I give you full credit for that.
I mean, I don't get any credit for overturning Roe, but man, my heart was in it. I did believe it. But then when it actually happened last year, I sobbed and I couldn't believe it. So,
it's kind of a big deal.
Huge deal.
All right. So, Corey, you've been in this movement to reverse Roe v. Wade for a long, long time. Tell me about, how did you get into pro-life movement?
Working at the pregnancy center, I really wasn't aware that pregnancy centers were helping people who were considering abortion. I thought they were just there helping people who were pregnant and needed help.
Right.
So I didn't know about the abortion issue. I hadn't learned. I didn't grow up hearing about the abortion issue.
Involved?
I would say I was in my early 30s.
Okay.
Yeah, in my early 30s. So, and so I watched a video as a part of my training called Maafa 21, MAAFA 21. It means genocide in Swahili.
Oh, wow.
And it's a video about the history of abortion in America, particularly targeting the African American community.
Lay it on us, 'cause I don't think very few people know this.
Yeah, so it talks about the history of Planned Parenthood, its founding by Margaret Sanger, and how she was basically looking to control the black population because she considered us to be feeble-minded and incapable of advancing the society. And so there was partnerships with churches, which blew my mind. They had sermon competitions. Who could preach the best population control sermon, they would get a stipend from Planned Parenthood. You saw politicians who were pro-life, who became pro-choice in order to be able to try to get elected. And so when I saw this video, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a strategy that has eliminated a generation of people. And I think about how much voting power the black community wants to have.
Right, and if they
we have eliminated through abortion.
Right, yeah, just killed them off.
Yeah, and so I was shocked. I was just like, wow, I can't believe this. And then when I learned 70% of Planned Parenthoods are in black and brown communities, they position themselves to where the minority population tends to be. We have one right here in Austin across the street from Houston Tillotson University.
Yeah.
Hey, Corey, when you tell people that Planned Parenthood was founded on this basis of wanting to eliminate the black population and that's still their strategy, do you see that effectively change hearts?
No, most people don't believe it.
They don't believe it.
Oh, yeah, most people don't believe it.
They're like, you made that up.
Yeah, because they believe what they're told by Planned Parenthood about what their purpose is and about they're here to help people. And I'm not saying that there's not anything they do that can be helpful,
right?
But the majority of what the services that they provide are abortion focused, And so since Roe was overturned in Texas, they can't legally offer abortions in Texas, but they can refer people to other states. They can help transport people to other states. They can refer people to the abortion pill, which is now over 50% of abortions are occurring in people's homes.
And you can get that through the mail.
Yeah,
right?
You can order that through the mail. Yeah. I mean, so the issue we have now, and this is why I'm so passionate about what I'm doing, is that Roe's been overturned. Abortion is illegal in a number of states.
You said illegal in a number of states?
Yes, illegal.
Yeah.
Do you know how many?
I think it's 26.
Yeah.
20. Oh, so pretty much right down the middle. Half are pro-life states and half are pro-death states or pro-choice.
Yeah.
But the challenge is abortion continues because laws can make abortion illegal, but only Christ through his church can make it unthinkable.
Yeah, talk about that.
So the key now is that I think we didn't think as a movement strategically about the fact that once the choice went back to states, had we discipled the church to understand the gospel on this issue. Because when 4 out of 10 women and 5 out of 10 men, research shows us, were attending church once a month when they had their first abortion, it lets you know that abortion is an issue in the church, not just outside of the church. And so not only are abortions happening within the church, but many people have adopted a cultural perspective on abortion that's not a biblical perspective on abortion. And so we have Christians sitting in churches that are voting for referendums that are for abortion. Mm-hmm. Because in their mind, they've adopted a view, whether it be that God gives everybody a choice or you can't make somebody do something they don't want to do with their body, whatever their mindset is, other than the biblical understanding that we have that God values life, that God formed us in our mother's womb, knew us before we were formed in our mother's womb. And really that as believers who are called to fulfill the Great Commission and the Great Commandment, you can't love your neighbor as yourself if you murder your neighbor.
Right.
And for a mother, her neighbor is the closest neighbor to her is her baby. And you can't make disciples of all nations if you eliminate your family, which is your first disciple in community.
I love that. One of the things I talk about a lot is that, when we're made in the image of God, God is placing his image all over the earth, kind of like, I always kind of like you're tagging, this is my part of the earth, that is my representative of me there. And when you eliminate, you're saying, I am God of that area. I'm removing the tag. I'm removing the image of God here so that you see that I rule. Yes. And I think that is exactly what abortion is. That's exactly kind of what murder in general is, because you're now taking the place of God. Okay. Wow. All right. So how much success, and clearly we've seen success happen because Roe v. Wade has been overturned, but how much heart change have you been able to see?
That's the work. That's the work we're in now, is how do we help churches, pastors, and leaders make a decision to say we're going to speak about this issue through the gospel, and we're going to let people in our church know what's going to happen if a woman in our church experiences a pregnancy.
And so this is the role that you took when you went to CareNet, right?
Yes.
As the church outreach director?
Yeah, so I'm the regional director of church engagement for Texas. So we have somebody on the West Coast, Midwest, Southeast. Texas gets its own person because we have a few churches here in Texas. And so we have a resource we created called Making Life Disciples. It's a 12-session resource designed to help equip the church to be aware of the abortion vulnerable in the church, to understand the resources that are available for post-abortive individuals, but also be equipped to know how to support a client who's coming from the pregnancy center. So pregnancy centers offer short-term support. I mean, they're normally a year. Yeah, triage. Yeah, definitely. A year and a half in, all the things that I mentioned that pregnancy centers offer. But a woman and a family who chooses life is going to need relationships. They're going to need mentors. They're going to need the gospel. They're going to need to be discipled. Right. And so we're trying to create churches that we know are safe places for folks when they leave the pregnancy center to step into, and people are going to judge them because they considered abortion. Yep. They're not going to judge them because they've had an abortion. Yep. They're going to provide healing through the resources that we have. And then more than anything, they're going to see the church be the hands and feet of Jesus.
So talk to me how a church could be and this is where I don't want to be too flippant, but I think for the most part, every church would say, we accept all people. How can a church specifically...
you might want to qualify that statement.
Right. Well, yeah, but because we'd say all are welcome, right? Come on. But how can a church be specifically welcoming to those that are with an unplanned pregnancy? It's so that it could be a place where, I feel comfortable sending someone with an unplanned pregnancy to Wells Branch Community Church or whatever church. What are the markers you're looking for, or is there something specific?
Yeah, one, we're looking for people who love unconditionally. A church that's, again, not going to be judgmental, not going to browbeat people. I tell pastors all the time, if you're going to mention abortion, you have to mention grace and forgiveness. Right. You can't get up and preach a sermon about abortion and then not say the balance of, you got the truth, but then you got the grace side of it. God forgives. Yep. You can receive healing. You need to go through healing.
That's good.
And that God can redeem this situation for good. Also, places that disciple people. It's funny when I come to many churches and I ask, what are the methods you have in place to make disciples? a lot of churches in America have learned how to gather people.
Mm-hmm.
They've learned how to have a great worship experience,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't know how to intentionally disciple people.
Right.
And so that's how you get to the place where we are now, where more people in the church than not are pro-choice.
Right, because they've evangelized the saved people to go like, listen, you don't really know.
Right, right. Or you can't force your belief system
Yeah.
or your religion on someone. And then, they bring up all of the exceptions. Or what about in cases of rape and incest, which, 1% of the cases. But more than that, it's like, as believers, we should believe that God is sovereign.
Yeah.
And that God can take a bad situation and make something good
That's right.
out of it. I mean, we have examples like Ron Baumberger, who's the founder and creative director of the Radiance Foundation, conceived in rape, raised by a beautiful family that adopted him. Now he's adopted 2 children himself. And
He was the speaker at the dinner.
Yeah,
he's been a
he
speaker
was
at the
awesome.
dinner.
I
He's
loved
amazing.
him.
I mean,
Yeah.
and he's just one of many people that I know who that's been the experience. And I tell people all the time, everybody who's pro-choice is alive.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody let them live.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Corey, can you speak to kind of the more hot button, nuanced debate
Yeah.
of today? There's that Kate Cox case out of, I think, Fort Worth, and she was pregnant with a baby who had trisomy 18,
Mm-hmm.
and so she wanted to get an abortion, I think around 18 weeks or so. I might be getting some of those details a little bit off, but and the courts would not allow her to get an abortion. She ultimately ended up going out of state to get that abortion, which is tragic. But now I'm hearing Christians, they're coming and they're asking me, well, don't you think that we should just not pick those battles? Like, if a woman wants to get an abortion, I mean, that's just so tragic. That's just so hard for her to have to carry a pregnancy to term where the baby is inevitably, in 99.9% of cases, going to die before birth or in her arms shortly after. Shouldn't we just back off on that? What do you think the church has to say about issues like that?
Well, the first thing about that situation was she said, I want to abort so I can have more children. As if carrying this child was going to lower her chances of having children, which is not.
Right.
Not true.
I mean, we have-
not medically
Was
accurate.
she
Yeah.
afraid like if I'm wasting time here if I carry
No,
this?
No,
she-
it wasn't a time where she acted as if this child could cause her reproductive system not to work properly.
She's trying to
again.
make a health exception claim,
Right.
which the law allows for a very, 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 very small sliver,
Oh, I
like
got it.
life of the mother,
Right,
like severe.
right. But her life was not at risk.
No, but she was trying to claim that it kind of
Yes.
was.
Man.
So if the wife of the mother is at risk, then a person can experience an abortion
Right,
here.
a pro-life person would never say that a mother must die.
Right.
Although, if it were me, I would happily die for a baby to live. But that's not what the pro-life position doesn't. There's a huge misconception out there. That's why I'm saying this, where people think, well, it's not pro-life to make a mother die so that she could have a baby. Well, first of all, a baby is almost never required to be aborted to save the life of a mother. That's almost absolutely never necessary. But also, pro-life people are pro-life of mother and life of baby and would never sacrifice one.
One for the other.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So in cases like that, how is the church supposed to respond to that?
First of all, to love the mother.
Yeah.
And to say, we care about you. We don't want you to have to go through the pain of aborting this child. I think many people don't understand the impact that abortion has on a mother or a father. People assume, well, if I can get rid of this baby, I will end the problem.
Right.
But it creates a different problem because there's nothing in human nature or really in nature in general that says it's natural to eliminate your offspring.
Right.
That doesn't make natural sense. And so what happens is the psychological effects, the emotional effects, the spiritual effects of ending the life of a child.
Yeah, because if we were just matter, meaning like, material, carbon-based life forms.
Clumps of cells.
Then you should have no problem just, eradicating a clump of cells. But because there is something, I think there is, because there is something spiritual, because there is something connected that's greater that when you kill that off, that takes an act of the will of murder, which you experience, right?
Yes, you experience that, and the research and the work we're doing in abortion recovery at CareNet, we have a resource called Forgiven and Set Free for women, one called Reclaiming Fatherhood for Men. You're seeing years of impact that people are having. They're like, I don't know why I'm dealing with depression. I don't know why I deal with anxiety. I don't know why, as a man, I'm angry all the time.
Right.
And it's an abortion that was facilitated when they were 17, 18
Right.
years old, and they never sought forgiveness nor healing for that. And any trauma that's not dealt with is going to have a ripple effect. Dr. Tony Evans talks about just the connection of the life that's in the blood in Scripture. You read all about that through sacrifice, through Passover. And he said, could it be that the reason we have such high murder rates in America is because we don't value life at the beginning of life? And so we spiritually, psychologically, and subconsciously don't value life after life. No other country deals with the level of murder, particularly gun murder, as America. And I don't know many countries that abort as many babies as America.
So yeah,
Could there be a connection?
Yeah, that's wild. I don't even know what to say to that. I when I think about that, I'm like, that is just such an extreme stat that we abort more babies than any other. Like, is this percentage wise or total number or what is that?
Per capita,
Yeah.
Statistically, like in New York State right now, New York City in particular, more babies are aborted than born.
Yeah.
They just passed a law to provide free abortion
I
care.
would like you're saying stuff to me that sort of blows my mind. Like I would
Yeah.
never think in New York State more babies are murdered than are allowed to be birthed.
Yeah. I mean, New York, the mayor just had a major press conference. They released their new abortion care services for free. You can get any service you need to make sure an abortion can happen. Call this line from 7 in the morning till 9 at night, and we're facilitating that transportation, cost, whatever it takes to make it happen.
Yeah.
And that's being promoted in churches.
Yeah.
It's being promoted in
That's brutal.
healthcare communities. And so, again, the big focus that we have to have now as believers is getting the church on the right page with this.
Yeah.
Because even with the referendums that are being passed in our country,
Talks about some of the referendums.
so there's a number of referendums that have been out, because now Roe v. Wade has allowed these issues to go back to the state.
Right.
They put it to the voters, and they say, hey, do we as a state want to legalize abortion or eliminate abortion legally? And more Christians are voting for abortion than not. And so if Christians stood on the side of life, many of these referendums wouldn't make it.
Yeah,
Right.
abortion is being made legal through referendum in states that you would never expect, like Kentucky. Like, how? They have a very pro-life legislature. They had pro-life books on the laws before, but once Roe was overturned, they put a referendum on the ballot that the people would vote on individually, and it passed with flying colors. And so now abortion is made almost in stone in Kentucky legal. Crazy. Like, that's just from the perspective of somebody who helped write a lot of the pro-life laws, abortion bans that are in place in Texas currently. That is not the post-Roe future that we envisioned.
Yes.
Huh.
And the challenge is, again, we weren't prepared as a
Right.
movement for Roe to be overturned.
Right.
Because to be prepared, we needed to make sure that through democracy, we had people in our churches that were pro-life,
Right.
biblically pro-life,
Right.
not politically pro-life,
Right.
biblically pro-life.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So, all right. So how are you? One of the things you're doing right now is you're connecting with churches. You're going. You met with me. We had lunch, and that was awesome. And so, are you looking to meet with more pastors? Are you looking to kind of consolidate like a month, like January? Hey, let's all jump on the same page here. What's the next step for churches to get involved, and like what are you wanting to do?
Yeah. So definitely, I want to meet with pastors to help them understand their role in this, but also help their churches create life teams within their church that are trained and equipped to support these clients. What if a church says from the front, if a woman experiences unplanned pregnancy in our church, we will not judge her.
Yeah.
We will not condemn her.
Yeah.
Pregnancy is not a sin.
Right.
How she experienced the pregnancy may have happened in sin, but being pregnant is not a sin.
Nice.
It is a God gift.
Yep.
And so we're going to love her. We're going to support her. We're going to throw a baby shower.
Yeah.
These are the things that happen, and that be communicated in the culture of the church. But then also that team is equipped where when that's said, you're almost positively going to have somebody come up and say, 15 years ago I had an abortion.
Yeah.
10 years ago I had an abortion. Now with the abortion pill and people experiencing abortions in their homes,
Right.
often they seek healing immediately.
Right.
Because it's so much more traumatic to see a fetus in your bathroom
Yeah.
than it is to go through a procedure where you're asleep the whole time. So that's a whole nother part of what's happening with the abortion pill.
So this is where I'm ignorant. Is the abortion? Are you able to get that in Texas?
Yes, you can. Or this is what we had a pregnancy center that did the research. They went online to one of the sites where you can just type in abortion pills, and then they said they were 15 years old. They ordered the abortion pills. There's 2 pills that lower the level of progesterone, designed to keep the fetus from attaching to the lining of the uterus, and then there are 2 pills that cause her to go into contraction and allow her to pass the baby. It shows up on the credit card bill as a bottle of cologne. So a parent wouldn't even know if their kid had, and then when the package arrived in a very nondescript package, it's just the 4 pills, no instructions, know what to do if you hemorrhage, know what to do, no information about what to do if you have all the negative side effects that can happen as a result of this. It's just,
which there are many. I
Yes.
mean, if you look at the stats from the Department of State Health Services in Texas, there are a lot more complications with the abortion pill than there are from even like a DNC.
So this is wild. So this seems to me like I guess the fight has just started. If there's a way to put that.
yes.
Yeah, in a way. Roe v. Wade definitely tied the hands of legislatures, where legislatures were unable to pass laws that effectively protected life in the womb.
Oh, interesting.
So with Roe v. Wade overturned, now legislatures are allowed to pass laws that protect life in the womb.
Right.
But that's not happening in a lot of states. They're passing laws that make abortion legal up until the day of birth. No, that's about half the states, though. That's
And
not-
then you have, I mean, the thing that a lot of people aren't communicating is there is an abortion reversal pill that can be taken within the first 48 to 72 hours. It's just a high level of progesterone that reverses that process of that fetus not being able to attach. So we've got pregnancy centers that are equipped to provide that, but we got to get the word out and tell people, hey, if this is something you did and you regret it, because many people immediately say, I shouldn't have did this.
Yeah.
They can get connected to a pregnancy center and get the abortion pill reversal.
So where are the pregnancy centers that, if like local to us, like we're right here we're in Wells Branch in North Austin, where would we go? Is there a website that says like, here, go to Agape, here, go to wherever
so on CareNet's website, care-net.org, all of the centers that are affiliated with CareNet are on that website. We've got Heart of Texas, which is off of Cameron and 290. We have Agape in Round Rock.
I think it's Pflugerville Pregnancy Resource
Pflugerville Pregnancy.
now.
It's called Radiance.
Radiance, that's right,
Radiance, which is right here. And so all of those are centers that we know, the standard of care is right, correct. This whole concept of fake clinics, we make sure that our pregnancy centers aren't doing things that fake clinics would do. Yeah.
Okay. I know this has been going back to the moral issue. Like when people are kind of, their battle is, you can't legislate morality. How do you kind of show them that that's not true?
Culture is almost always downstream of policy.
Right.
So, I mean, and then that was the basis behind legal activism, and it is the basis behind legal activism now. Like, you're passing, like, take the abortion, the issue of abortion aside, look at the issues of like child genital mutilation, also known as trans surgery. It's like those laws are being passed and it's being made legal, and then it's being available, and you're seeing a culture huge shift because it's been made legal or been made illegal.
Right. So,
but I say that laws can affect morality.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, people don't murder at the level they would murder if murder was not illegal.
Right. That's a great point.
I don't speed the way I would speed if I knew a ticket wasn't available.
Nice.
I don't drive drunk. Not that I would drive drunk, but we know there's a penalty for that.
Right.
And I think what people don't understand as well is that even with the abortion issue, the woman is not going to be charged.
Right.
These are the professionals providing, if you want to call them professionals, providing the abortion. Those are the people that are charged, the people that are facilitating it. I mean, so every morning we pray as a team, our national team, we pray for 3 pregnancy centers and we pray for 3 abortion clinics.
Oh, nice.
And we pray for these abortion workers to find other work. We pray that God would close these clinics so that people aren't having to make that choice.
Yeah.
Because it's when it's available, it makes it that much harder to make the decision. And we have, ministries like And Then There Were None with Abby Johnson, where they've seen hundreds of people leave the abortion industry, find work using their same skills.
To save people as opposed to kill them.
Yes, and they're getting healed from the work that they were participating in. Because that's the thing we don't understand, too. We are, through abortion, also involving people through their work in eliminating life.
Yeah.
And that has an impact as well.
And I also would say, like, what's wild is if you step away from the Bible and you're going to declare a law, right? You're going to enter into mob rule if you're not careful. And I think everyone would say, oh, mob rule is bad. But the reality of what happens when you have no governing book, something that says this is how God designed us to base every law off of, then you're making your own morality. And I think that ultimately is a dangerous thing.
It is.
Okay, so what's the next step? So let's just find out, how can people get a hold of you? They want to get online,
Net.org.
care-net.org, and they want to start volunteering at a pregnancy resource center. A great place to go would be care-net.org.
Yes.
Okay. And where can we find out more about you, Corey? Like we want to know, like, your whole life story. Like, where are we going to find the Corey Tabor story?
Well, you can go to my website, CoreyTabor.com.
Okay.
I have one that focuses on my speaking, CoreyTaborSpeaks.com. A couple of the books that I've written that are available there. Also, I would love to come to churches and speak about this issue.
Yeah.
Being a pastor, I was able to preach about it. I did a sermon in 2015, 16 during Black History Month called Black Lives Matter in the Womb.
Oh, nice.
And I talked about the issue of abortion in the Black community from a biblical perspective.
Yeah. How'd that go?
Connected it to what was happening with Moses in Egypt.
Woo.
And my church was split down the middle from a political perspective, but we understood God's heart on this issue.
Yeah.
And I think the key for the church in general is to not make people address this issue just from a political perspective, but to address it from a biblical perspective, that there are Christians who vote Democratic and there are Christians who vote Republican. But the key is Jesus is king. Jesus is King of Kings and Lord of Lords. So how do we submit our lives to him and allow him to rule? So I would love to come and speak at the church, at your church, come talk with your leaders.
Yeah.
Let me come and preach, and then you can discuss it afterwards. That type thing. And that's the beauty of like having been called to preach. Like within this ministry model, I still have an opportunity to use that gift to speak about God's heart for it. For life, and then we'd love to get people trained, because the more equipped they are. Most churches have no idea what a pregnancy center does. Right. They have no idea what an abortion is, how it happens, and so that's what our resources are designed to do, is to help them get a better understanding so they can serve their community better.
And all those resources, like many of the stats, are all at care-net.org.
Yes, you can find many of the stats there. All of our research that we've done in partnership with Lifeway is there. And the resources that we have available to train churches, all there on our church blog and everything.
Awesome. Leah, any other thoughts?
Thanks for joining us, Corey.
No problem. Thank you all for having me.
Yeah. Hey, listen, if you have any questions, we'll bring Corey back. If you've got questions for him related to abortion, the pro-life movement, and what we can do as followers of Christ, we would love to have your questions. Even if you're like, I believe abortion's legal or should be legal, we love to wrestle with that, and we bring Corey to kind of help answer those questions. 737-231-0605 is where you can text us, or go to pastorplek.com. We'd love to hear from you. From our house to yours, have an awesome week.